Ohio State versus Michigan. This was a 13-10 game, and this is why you watch the Unafraid Show, because I called it, that Ohio State was going to lose to either Indiana, but most likely Michigan. People were like, well, how's that, George? Well, because that Indiana game was a big game. Everybody was talking about it, and I said they're either going to look past Indiana and go and lose to Indiana and then beat Michigan. But if they beat Indiana, they were going to just totally dismiss Michigan, which is what they did. Now, Ohio State's offense. Remember when they played Penn State? If you were watching the Unafraid Show, the entire media out there, the mainstream media, the college football media, they were gushing over Ohio State. Oh my God, did you see that offense? It was amazing. And I was like, it was a 20-13 win. And then Ohio State's offense versus Indiana, it wasn't impressive either. Now that last drive versus Penn State where they held the ball and that was impressive. And they salted out the game. That was impressive. But don't sit here and act like they were running up and down the field versus Indiana or Penn State, because that's not what happened. Their defense has been doing the heavy lifting for this team all year and putting them in advantageous positions. They dropped a punt versus Indiana, returned a punt, all of those things. That's not the offense. That's not what's been happening all year versus the better teams. Now, this game, Ryan Day, their head coach, let his ego get way too far ahead of him because he was so obsessed with showing everybody that this Ohio State team, they're not soft. They didn't even use their weapons, Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith and the rest of the wide receiver core. They barely even used them. And then Ryan Day got up there in the press conference. Well, it was windy outside. It was, they didn't give us enough time to substitute. So we had 12 minutes. Always excuses. Always excuses. Here's the thing. When Ohio State scored their lone touchdown, 2-minute drive, they went fast and just spread the ball all over the place, throwing the ball. They did not come back to that for the rest of the game. What are we doing here? Ego got involved. And we have to be honest. And Ryan Day and James Franklin, they are literally getting the same results in the biggest games. But Ryan Day just beats James Franklin more. But when it comes to playing other big games, they're losing those. And that goes to, because there's been a lot of talk about should Ohio State then fire Ryan Day. First of all, firing a coach right now when you're going to make the college football playoff, that would be absolutely asinine and pretty on par for something that Ohio State would do. But they still have a chance to win the college football playoff because they were the betting favorite prior to this week. But remember my 2 rules for firing a coach. And you guys can go, I just posted the video again a few days ago. So go on the Unafraid Show. The 2 rules for firing a head coach. Number 1 is there a coach that you can guaranteed get that will do a better job? Ohio State, I know that you are a plug and play team, but is there a coach that you can guarantee get? Can you get Dan Lanning? Probably not. Who else would you want to hire? I saw the list. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders ain't going to Ohio State. They'll put too many rules and regulations in and won't let him be Deion. And then I saw Lane Kiffin. So you want to trade Lane Kiffin out for Ryan Day? It's the 2 Spider-Mans pointing at each other. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is of rules for firing a coach. Is there a loss of hope? Can you sell high school recruits on the fact that the future is brighter than the past? Ohio State's recruiting class looks really good, so there's not a loss of hope. So doesn't look like you can fire your head coach at this point in time, even though that they might. 0-4 the last times versus Michigan. They're 0-2 versus Oregon. The most expensive roster in college football didn't make the Big Ten championship. And then there's another telltale sign that Ohio State fans should be afraid of. But here's the thing, is if Ohio State can't win while Michigan is down, what is going to happen when Dave Portnoy and Larry Ellison pump their NIL money into the program and they actually have a quarterback? Because Michigan in this game rushed for 172 yards and a touchdown on 42 carries and only threw for 62 yards and won. And Ohio State, 19 for 33, 175, a touchdown and 2 picks for Will Howard. And then rushed for 77 yards on 26 carries. Throw the damn ball. That's where your advantage lies. But it was actually the post game that dominated the news, because you had the fight over the flag planting incident. And you had the video of Ryan Day standing idly by while there's a fight with his team going on. And he just standing there telling them, what happened? What do you mean what happened? Go in there and do something. Get your team out of the way. That was honestly, if I were an Ohio State administrator or booster, that would be the thing that tipped me off that something is clearly very wrong with what we're doing right now. That would clearly set me off. Why are you not involved? Why are you not getting your team off? Why are you not do something?